The Dallas Cowboys have been relatively quiet on the trade market after sending defensive cornerstone Micah Parsons to Green Bay ahead of the regular season. Since that happened, unsurprisingly, their defense has been criticized often, with their pass rush in particular lacking. Through 8 games, the Cowboys have managed 15 sacks, which is why some analysts believe Dallas could still add another edge before the trade deadline hits on November 4th. CBS Sports' Garrett Podale had an interesting name as a possibility for Dallas: Nick Herbig of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Pittsburgh Steelers edge rusher Nick Herbig has a 94.0 defensive grade from PFF since Week 4, the best in the NFL, via Fansided's Marcus Mosher, Podale wrote, adding, "However, he appears to be on the outs with the Steelers' coaching staff. Herbig's 52 defensive snaps across the last 2 weeks are 14th among his Pittsburgh teammates. Incredibly odd considering he leads the Steelers in sacks with 4.5 this season, half a sack more than TJ Watt's 4.0. He is set to enter the final year of his rookie deal in 2026, but it could be worth the Cowboys picking up the phone to see what his price may be." A closer look at Herbig's game. The 6'2", 240-pound Steelers linebacker was a 4th-round pick in 2023, number 132 overall, after starring at Wisconsin, and he has shown steady growth since entering the league. Across his 3 seasons, Herbig has been the 3rd edge behind superstar TJ Watt and Alex Highsmith. Despite playing limited snaps, he has managed to become quite the disruptor. Through 6 games in 2025, he has 13 career sacks, 8 forced fumbles, 1 interception, and 65 total tackles, matching or topping what many rotational rushers do in double the playing time. In 2024, he finished with 5.5 sacks and 4 passes defensed, then opened 2025 with 4.5 more sacks, 2 forced fumbles, and an interception as his role grew on passing downs. Even as a rookie in 2023, Herbig was one of the league's most efficient pressure creators on a per-snap basis, a trend that carried into 2024 and 2025. His hot start this season, he had 20 pressures in his first 4 games, should absolutely intrigue Dallas. Why the Dallas Cowboys should try to trade for Steelers edge Nick Herbig. Herbig would be a great piece for defensive coordinator Matt Eberflus, whose defense emphasizes takeaways and sound tackling. Herbig's knack for strip and hustle sacks would make him both a nice fit and an exciting addition. The cost should also interest Dallas. Herbig is still on his rookie deal, which matters a great deal for a Cowboys roster currently juggling extensions elsewhere. Also, Pittsburgh has Watt and Highsmith entrenched, making Herbig, we won't say expendable, but certainly worth checking in on if you're Jerry Jones. If he maintains anything close to his 2025 start, he'd be an immediate upgrade for a Cowboys defense that hasn't played well or consistent all year. He's still only 23, which is another thing to love if you're Dallas. That could make his price tag a bit higher, but considering his current usage in Pittsburgh, Herbig is definitely a player the Cowboys should be monitoring. Veteran cornerback Darius Slay was absent from Pittsburgh Steelers practice Thursday. The reason listed on the status report was personal matter. Slay, who turns 35 on New Year's Day, is his first season with the Steelers after 12 years, 6 Pro Bowl berths, and a Super Bowl ring earned last season as a member of the Philadelphia Eagles. But after playing every defensive snap in the Steelers' first 2 games of the season, Slay played only 50% of the snaps in this past Sunday's 35-25 loss to the Green Bay Packers. Starting left guard Isaac Seumalo again did not practice Thursday and is unlikely to play Sunday against the Indianapolis Colts. He suffered a pectoral injury during the Green Bay game. Freiermuth, Frazier back. Offensive starters Pat Freiermuth and Zach Frazier returned to practice after missing Wednesday's session. Freiermuth, a tight end, was a full participant Thursday after sitting out the previous day's session because of a quadriceps injury. Frazier was listed as limited Thursday because of a calf injury suffered 2 weeks ago. Though Frazier has not practiced fully since suffering his injury during the October 16th game in Cincinnati, he was able to play in this past Sunday's loss to the Packers. Holcomb, Peppers added. Additions to the injury report Thursday were inside linebacker Cole Holcomb, who did not practice because of illness, and safety Jabril Peppers, who was limited because of a quadriceps ailment. Another player who was downgraded from Wednesday was cornerback Corey Trice, who apparently suffered a knee injury Thursday. He has been on injured reserve since the start of the season because of a hamstring injury suffered early during training camp. Trice returned to practice Wednesday and participated fully that day. Also on the report, Scotty Miller missed a second consecutive practice because of a finger injury that prevented him from playing against the Packers, but fellow depth receiver Ben Skowronek, neck, improved from limited to fully participating in practice from Wednesday to Thursday. Two players for whom the clock is ticking toward an activation to the active roster but remain on injured reserve. Rookie quarterback Will Howard and inside linebacker Malik Harrison continue to practice fully. Harrison must be added to the active roster by Monday and Howard by November 12th, or each is lost for the season. Defensive tackle Cameron Hayward and wide receiver DK Metcalf were given Veterans Days off Thursday, and it had been confirmed previously by coach Mike Tomlin that safety Deshaun Elliott and defensive tackle Daniel Ekuele would be out because of significant knee injuries. The NFL's trade deadline is just 5 days away, and the Pittsburgh Steelers are very much a buyer as they look to plug holes on the roster and get back to playing good football. The Steelers under GM Omar Khan already added veteran safety Kyle Duggar from the New England Patriots, and they've been connected to just about every wide receiver on the trade market, especially the Las Vegas Raiders' Jacoby Myers. But there could be one player on the Raiders who isn't talked about as truly on the market and could be a logical Steelers target. For Pro Football Focus, that player is second-year offensive lineman Jackson Powers-Johnson. With veteran guard Isaac Seumalo banged up, and Pittsburgh having invested in its offensive line heavily in recent years while also showing a ton of interest in Powers-Johnson coming out Oregon, a trade for the young offensive lineman could make some sense. The Raiders could be a logical trade partner. The previous regime spent a 2024 second-round pick on interior lineman Jackson Powers-Johnson, but he appeared to be benched during Las Vegas Week 7 matchup against the Chiefs. PFF's Josh Liskiewicz writes of a possible Steelers-Raiders trade. While primarily a center at Oregon, Powers-Johnson has already logged more than 300 snaps at each of the interior positions during his time as a pro. Though Seumalo isn't expected to be out long even if he doesn't play Sunday, and Spencer Anderson more than earning a chance as the starter once again in place of Seumalo, you can never have enough offensive linemen. With the work the Steelers did on Powers-Johnson leading up to the 2024 NFL Draft and the versatility he brings, it could make some sense, depending on cost. He was a second-round pick, but the Raiders have since brought in a new front office and coaching staff, which has led to some tough times for Powers-Johnson. Against the Kansas City Chiefs in Week 7, Powers-Johnson played just 25 snaps, allowed 2 pressures and a sack, and was replaced by Alex Kappa. The Raiders were on a bye in Week 8, so we'll see if Powers-Johnson is benched for good. If he has been, that could make him available ahead of Tuesday's deadline. The Steelers could be a fit. They hosted Powers-Johnson for a pre-draft visit. They also met with him at the Senior Bowl in Mobile, and Steelers offensive line coach Pat Meyer traveled to Eugene, Oregon, for the Ducks Pro Day. At the NFL Combine, Steelers assistant offensive line coach Isaac Williams put Powers-Johnson through drills, too. But then, he went a few picks ahead of the Steelers in the second round, leading to Pittsburgh drafting Zach Frazier out of West Virginia. Though Powers-Johnson was primarily a center coming out of college, he's played 506 snaps at left guard, for 121 snaps at center, and 298 snaps at right guard in his young NFL career, according to PFF. That versatility could make him an intriguing option. Would the Steelers be interested? It's hard to rule out due to the work they did previously, but the interior seems set moving forward with Frazier, Mason McCormick, and the emergence of Anderson. But you can never have enough bodies. If the Raiders are benching him and might be interested in moving on, it wouldn't be at all surprising to see the Steelers show interest.